green. Oh, come on. Go green. Oh, that's a little bit better. We're going to work on that. We're going to do it one more time. Go green. Okay, that's even more fun. Awesome. Hi, my name is Aaron Richard, and I am the Director of Marketing and Communications for the Burgess Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. It is a pleasure to welcome you all here tonight for Innovate State. The beauty of this evening is that it is a new part of our series, Innovate State, where we are concentrating on emerging leaders. A lot of times you will come to these events and you'll see people who are in their early to mid, not 20s. And we all value that. It's absolutely fine, and experience is amazing. But we also understand that it's important for you to hear from individuals who maybe have graduated within, 4 years, 6 years of you being here on this campus, to hear those voices that you don't necessarily often get to hear from starting their career, hitting it big. Those are amazing things to hear about. So tonight's Innovate State is going to be a departure from our usual, for which I am deeply excited. Now, I am right here, not the star of this show, although some people might mistake that. I am here to do some introductions and some housekeeping. So first, housekeeping. Our next Innovate State will feature Todd Dunn. Todd Dunn is the VP for Enterprise Innovation at Advocate Health. He will be here on November 1st. So please register today, show up, it'll be a good time, and my job will have been done if you register. So register. Awesome. Note 2, how many of you have heard of 2-Day Venture? Okay, I see a lot of hands in the room, a lot of reluctant hands. How many of you have attended 2-Day Venture? I'm liking those non-reluctant hands. That is awesome. 2-Day Venture is a 36-hour experience where you can come be grouped up, put in teams, and you work on an idea for 36 hours and take that idea to a business plan. And then you pitch, and there are winners picked. There's how much in prizes? $850 is the top prize for that weekend. So 2 days of work, you get top prize, free food, which is always a bonus, and you get to work with mentors who are alums, and the fabulous Aubrey. So those are two things that should draw you right into going. So you have to register by November 3rd. The event is November 10th. So register ASAP. There is a small nominal charge, but here's the deal. You may get charged that time when you register, but if you attend and you participate for the whole event, you get a refund. It works that carrot and stick and carrot. Okay, so that is it for housekeeping. Can we all just take it? I feel better after that. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome to the front of the room my very own senior marketing and communications intern, Claire Hampel. Claire is a wonderful colleague, and she does our social media. So Claire, come on up. She'll be moderating this event. Can you get a round of applause?
Hello, everybody.
Can you hear her?
Is that working?
Awesome.
Thanks,
Have a
guys.
seat, and I'll let you welcome. Thank you, everyone. Go ahead, Claire. Welcome.
All right, so welcome, everybody. And I also welcome Courtney Paige from A Paige of Positivity.
Wow, thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, great.
All right.
If at any point you can't, just holler.
So I am super excited to welcome Courtney Paige, as I said, and I think that we'll have a really good conversation, and we have a lot of people here today. I feel like are very interested.
They were bribed by free food.
Yeah, so definitely get free food if you guys want. So to dive right into it, I was just curious to set the stage, what a young Courtney Paige wanted to be when she grew up, if that's changed.
I remember telling my mom that I wanted to be a secretary when I wanted to grow up. But from a young age, I was really creative. I knew that probably a typical 9-to-5 job was not in my wheelhouse, but I loved to be a babysitter. I sold canvases that I painted. I just had a really good outlook on if I wanted to have money, I needed to make it somehow. So that kind of carried in. I decided to go to Michigan State, and I thought I wanted to be a teacher or I was going to be an interior designer. And I decided to go interior designer route. So the creativity all came together with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're an MSU alum. Welcome back.
Thanks. Aaron was really generous. He's like, almost 4 years. I graduated in 2019, so we're almost to the mark where I'm out of college longer than I was in it.
But we can still very much relate to your experience and
None of you can yet. Soon.
and like please teach us how.
Yeah.
So tell me about your time at MSU. What were you involved in? If that affected where you are now, what you took away from college?
Yes. So I declared my major freshman year, interior design. It's a 4-year program out of the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. So I worked a lot with like urban planning, construction management, and college was awesome. Like I loved my time here at Michigan State. My degree was really project focused, so I didn't have a ton of tests other than art history every semester. And so I feel like that helped me kind of where I am now. I'm the owner of my blog and also known as an influencer, A Paige of Positivity. I call it A-pop for short because it's significantly easier and less of a tongue tie. And so I started my Instagram page, A Paige of Positivity, when I was in college, my junior year, and I started it just for fun. I wanted to find a community. I was actually battling an eating disorder at the time, so I was seeking treatment here at Michigan State. And it's pretty ironic, the girl who feared food now, like, I literally live, breathe food. I create recipes, I do a lot of brand photography. It's a really cool, like, full circle moment. But I started it for fun, and now 5 years later, I work for myself. I've worked for myself for about a year and a half now. It's a 6-figure company, and it is very, very fulfilling.
Did you ever think that this Instagram page would be what it is today?
No, and I almost threw it in the towel. And during COVID, it was like 2020, and I was like, I just am not having fun. You know, the Instagram algorithm is just not what it used to be. And so I kind of came to a crossroads of, do I want to start a blog and buy the domain name and dive into building that, or do I just want to kind of let the page fizzle out? And I chose the first one, and I'm very, very grateful that I did.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you still use your current design degree in your current business?
Oh yeah. So day to day, I'm a professional food photographer. I develop recipes. I work with brands. You go to the grocery store and you see pictures on, brand packaging. That's coming from a food photographer usually. So I do a lot of that. It's really enjoyable. That's kind of where I shine in my job. I feel like with the design background, all of the principles and elements of design go into that. And the back end, the business side, is where I continue to learn every day because I didn't go to school for that. So it's a good juxtaposition.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about graduating from college and then transitioning into a full-time job, and then how did you transition full-time into A Paige of Positivity?
Okay, so I moved to Atlanta post-grad. I had a job lined up in commercial interior design, and I knew that I had a chip on my shoulder to kind of show what interior designers can do. It's a lot more than just fluffing pillows or picking out fabric. It's really more of like an interior architecture role. So I had a chip on my shoulder of like, I'm gonna go do that. And so went down to Atlanta. I was there for 3 years, and I worked for 2 different design companies, one for just over 2 years, and then the other one for 8 months. And the 8-month one was kind of the time where the blog started growing, and I still wanted the financial stability that a corporate job provides, but I did not enjoy it anymore. So it was you're doing something because it's providing for your life, but also you have something that is fueling your passion and your heart to keep going. And so that was definitely, I think I probably would have wanted to quit sooner, but again, from that perspective of like, okay, well, they give me a 401k, they have healthcare, like all of the things that businesses do. It's really helpful when you're building your own business to have the support of one, and then you get to learn things that you like and what you don't like from it, and take that into your own business to a point where you can say, okay, I've either made more than what I'm making here, or I've invested enough money that I've saved from this entrepreneurship venture, and I'm gonna bet on myself to go get after it.
And then looking back at the position that you were in when you were in a full-time job, what do you wish you could say to yourself now to get you?
I think I'm really grateful for both experiences. I just think that if you're passionate about something and you have an idea that you can wake up every day and you're like, I want to make this better, or it's a product or a service, or something that you give to the world that someone else can't, or you're doing better than them, to continue down that road. And that really fueled me because of kind of just seeing the design industry. It maybe wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I also feel like I have to say that, coming out of college, I thought I was going to be making like big coin. And I was like, yeah, this is great. But you actually learn that it takes a while to get to where you want to be. And so that supplemental income from the blog was really helpful for me to be able to, one, invest it without taking away from anything in my personal life at the time. And then two, once I saw that it was kind of where it needed to be, I was like, all right, let's go get after it. Yeah.
Awesome. And then obviously with A Paige of Positivity.
You can call it APOP if you want.
APOP, thank you.
So much easier for everyone.
With APOP, you work with a lot of different brands, a lot of different platforms. Can you dive a little bit deeper into TikTok, Instagram, what it's like building a brand and building a community while still being authentic to yourself?
Absolutely. So Instagram was where I started, and TikTok didn't exist at that point. So Instagram 5 years ago was really easy to build a community. Like everyone has influencers that you're like, I followed these people for, when like their kids were born, things were happening. It's kind of weird. So I started there, and it was really easy to grow on Instagram at the time. Was there for probably 2 years. That's when TikTok started coming out. And the thing that I've learned in business and growing a business is that the resistance to change, the more you are, the less it will help you in the long run. And I was putting my foot down. I'm like, I'm not going to use TikTok. It's one more thing on my to-do list that is already long. And then, a year later, you're like, oh, it's actually not going away. Okay, let's learn, let's adapt. And so I would say Instagram's my community. Facebook and Pinterest are used, like the way that I view those is I use them for avenues to share my blog. So I'll rewind for a second. The reason why I said, okay, I can either quit Instagram or I can build a blog is that I own a blog. Like I own everything associated to that. So I own the domain name, the trademark if you trademark it, like everything on the back end can't be taken away from me. But on social, it can, because I'm not the boss of them. Like Instagram, TikTok, Meta, people have platforms. And it is social is a way for me to make other, money. But the blog was something that I saw the potential in and wanted to make sure that if social did go away tomorrow, I still had the financial backing that my blog was bringing in, and vice versa. So nowadays I use social still for my community, and it kind of gets into like logistically with brands. Brands are more likely to pay you a lot of money for Instagram because of your trusted like community that you have. TikTok has you're going to get a smaller reach. It's unpredictable, so they're less willing to spend. Sure, it could go viral, but you have the backing of the numbers on Instagram, whereas TikTok, it's a little bit more like hope and see. And then Pinterest, it's interesting in the blogging community. Pinterest was like, had its boom about 10 years ago, and then most bloggers now are just like, Pinterest isn't doing what it used to do, it's all Google. I mean, yeah, it's all Google. Like, that's where the organic search is coming from.
I low-key love Pinterest.
I do too, but
I love it.
I feel like a couple years ago, that's what I used. But from a blogging perspective of driving traffic to your blog, Pinterest has significantly declined in terms of like what they're able to offer the creators on it. I'm not saying Instagram and TikTok and Facebook are better, but being able to, circling back, being able to adapt to those different platforms, how to best use them for your business. And some, like, you might not need them for your business, or, take it out of context of blogging and influencing to different ones. There could be one that just is so helpful for your business that that's what you're gonna ride, but then have a plan B or have a fire escape if you need something else, if something happens to that platform.
Awesome.
Yeah, I feel like that was long-winded. Sorry, guys.
No, and then to dive a little bit deeper into that, on the brand and authenticity side, how do you keep your followers? How do you remain yourself now that this is your full-time, everyday
Yeah.
role?
So I think my business perspective has changed in the sense of a couple years ago, it was to grow like the biggest following. Like, the more people you had, the more money you would get on partnerships, like the bigger reach you had. And I've shifted my perspective to, I want to build my blog to essentially make me passive income. Millions of dollars on the side, or thousands of dollars, maybe millions one day, that would be great. To just be so SEO friendly, researched, and it like performs well in Google, that I can just do the creative stuff on social for fun. Because brand partnerships are not reliable. Like, I had one freelance client last year that I made $30,000 from, and I haven't heard from again this year. So you're like, okay, well, where's that $30,000 coming from? It's coming from my affiliate linking is higher than it was last year. Or I have a different freelance client that has, made up for that, but what does that look like across years? And that's something my type A personality had to get used to really quickly, of like, oh, okay, we're gonna pivot really quick. Let's figure out how this is gonna work. And it's been insightful to be able to kind of move with what I'm seeing from brands. You hear a lot of, in my industry at least, of Q1 and Q2 are really slow. Like, the biggest ad spend and market spend is in Q3 and Q4, and they kind of call it like the Super Bowl. That's when your rates are like triple than what they are in Q1. Q1, you're kind of at the mercy of them. They're still finishing up their year-end budget from the last year. And so I think also being flexible with my prices and my rates with brands then is helpful for my business, of like, hey, this is what it's gonna be here, but then Q4, you ramp that up and you're looking at triple of what you just made Q1. So from a brand perspective, it totally changes. They look for different things. You market different services. There's most times where I say, I don't think I'm a good fit for that, but like they might be, or a lot of people just want to get their brand on your social somehow, and they'll like give you an affiliate link. What am I going to do with 10% of a $10 product? Nothing. Like, it's not worth my time to do something like that. So the things that my community, what I've built with my community, is like my protein bars that I eat every morning. That's like a really easy affiliate link because it is authentic to what I'm doing. Or a stove or a stove pot that I use all the time. People are like, hey, do you have a link for that? Hey, do you have a link for that? I overlink a lot of things because people want access to everything. Like, the more access they have to you, the better they feel. It's a very interesting psychological aspect of my job, that it's like, no, actually, you don't get that part of me. Like, that's the brand side. That's my personal life. How does that work?
So using the platform that you built and then adding in what you already use in your day-to-day life to propel that because other people are interested.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Yes. So, is anyone familiar with like blog traffic backend, or like when you go to a website, if they have ads on it, let's say fantasy footballers, like if you're going to check your lineup or you're going to check whatever, like Pinterest, when you have ads that pop up, is anyone familiar with like what that backend looks like? Yeah, a little bit.
I think isn't it like clicks, whatever, like go by clicks?
It definitely goes by clicks, yeah. But also, when you see an advertisement, let's say for Cheetos, like when you go to the, cookies, whatever, if you're scrolling down and there's a Cheeto advertisement, behind that is bots from ad companies that are saying, hey, we're willing to spend 2 cents or 3 cents for this Cheetos thing. Well, let's say Cheez-Its said they'll give it a penny. Well, Cheetos said 2 pennies, so then that's what pops up. That's how you get like that quick thing. So then for a website, in order for me to make money off of that ad, I need 1,000 people to visit each page to then get that penny. So when you think about it like that, you're like, oh wow, she's making like pennies. But if you have 50,000 people that visit one site a day, that's a lot of pennies add up. So it's really interesting in the aspect of the RPM per page is the price associated to every single website, and it changes every day. So like yesterday, my best page could have been $200. So I need 1,000 people to come to my site to get that $200. My worst page could be 4 cents. If 1,000 people visit that, I make 4 cents. So my income is incredibly variable. Like you don't know what you're gonna get. And that's interesting on the brand side of like, when I say Q3 and Q4 are the best, you want to promote, like you're trying to get as many people there because the ad spend behind those pennies is significally more.
Wow.
I just nerded it out for a second. Sorry, guys.
No,
I just think
love
it's really
You need to know.
interesting. And like when you follow your cookies, like the Nordstrom ad that you were just shopping comes back at you, and you're like, how do they know? And you're like,
It
that's
always comes back up. Like,
Yeah.
how did they hear me talking about
Yeah.
that? They know what
Well,
I want.
that's part of it.
So it is very clear that you're dealing with a lot of different things. You are tackling a lot of different goals. But what would you say is your next target, your next goal? What's next in the queue for APOP?
Okay, so my main goal when I started my blog, it was 2 years ago, the website, and you need 50,000 people a month to qualify for a decent ad company. So for 2 years, I was not making a single penny on my website. So that's like the first goal of blogging is like, hey, we need to get enough people here. I need to have SEO research posts. I need to have enough where it's naturally drawing traffic.
Which, sorry to
No,
interrupt,
that's okay.
SEO, search engine optimization.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So basically,
I had to look it up.
Yeah.
So
if you type it
That's why I
into
said it.
Google, because I'm a recipe developer, let's say you type in black bean salad without cheese. So all of those words form together to create a keyword, and then that keyword has a specific search volume. So like on the back end, I'm using Google Search Console, Google Analytics to understand how many people are targeting that keyword. Is it highly saturated? Example, Thanksgiving turkey, highly saturated. Best enchiladas? You're not gonna rank for it. Like, blogging has been around for about 20 years. So if you think about people who have had their stuff together in SEO in the past couple of years, it is really hard to knock off someone off the first recipe because if they have reviews, they have the authority to back it up. And that's what Google wants. Like, whoever goes to page 2 of Google, seldom ever. So like if I'm not in the top 3, that's my competition. So when I write a recipe, that's what I'm looking for. So going back to the goal, the past 2 years, that was my goal. I got that last August, so pretty quickly, and that was definitely helpful in terms of my Instagram following, because I did have an Instagram following. It helped me get that sooner because I was already sharing recipes. 50,000 people, like if you have 10,000 on stories one day, that's if everyone clicked it. And then I also I was transparent about these goals. So I was like, hey, it wasn't every day because that would be really annoying. But when I was really close, I shared it to my story and I was like, listen, this is my goal. Like, can you help me get there? And every day people were DMing me like, did we make it yet? I'm like, they don't come out till 2 p.m. I can't tell you the results yet. And so I got that. And over the past year, I've learned a lot about SEO, about ad revenue, RPM per page. And so I would say my goal this year was to make $50,000 passive income on my website. I'm not going to hit that this year. I don't know if any of you follow Google and core updates, but there were about 5 this year that really rocked bloggers' worlds. So that's how you learn. That's how you adapt and change, and you keep going. And so I would say I would like to do that and more next year. But like 5 years, I want to make $250,000 just by having a good website. And then everything else on top of that is extra spend.
That's a great goal.
Yeah.
I have no doubt you'll reach that.
Yeah, well,
I have no doubt.
We got to get there first. But I think that's been my focus because I've seen like what, a lot of bloggers are really transparent about what they make. Some influencers are, some aren't, they disclose the ad, they don't disclose the ad, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, people bring home serious money. You all follow influencers. Like you all probably have purchased something from them that helps like their life, their revenue. And it's definitely very possible. There's transparency in the food blogging space where if you want to look this up, if you look up food blogging income report, there are food bloggers that post quarterly income reports, and just based off their revenue, they just say $90,000, $120,000 every quarter. And it is fascinating. It also puts a chip on my shoulder. I'm like, all right, they can do it, I can do it. Mm-hmm. How do I get there? Let's go. And like, how do you learn, really? And I think that's really important in business because if you don't have that as much, it's harder to get there.
And what would you say are the main streams of education that you have learned from? And so for other people who want to do what you do, where could they learn? Where could they absorb it?
I think first from your favorite people online, truly. Like a lot of people are willing to give you insight. There's also a lot of people that will give you insight and you'll be like, oh, that's probably not the best thing to do. Okay, now I know. That's where I start. I wanted to learn photography. I didn't take a photography class until January of 2021 when I taught myself with 2 classes or 2 courses online from 2 different food bloggers who saw there was an opportunity, made courses about it, sold it to other food bloggers. Now they make millions. I wish I was kidding. It's like, okay, so when I see those things or if I see there's trends, should I make a course? What type of course would be helpful? How would I make money off of that? How would it be sufficient enough to stand without me? Would I need team members? Like there's all these things that go through my head when people share information. And that's the best way to start because if you go to Google, it's really tough to be like, how to start a food blog. You might get like a few, but you're not going to get that connection of like, I have a question, who am I going to ask? I don't know. Like you have to find someone to answer that question. And then you build your resources. Podcasts are another great, find podcasts in the niche that you guys are trying to build a business in. Super helpful.
And you've been on some, right?
Yeah,
If you
that's
wanna
actually,
plug that in.
that was part of my goal this year was to start sharing my knowledge more because blogging hasn't been around for a while. In retrospect, I got ads on my blog pretty quickly. And so I wanted to be able to share what I was good at because other people have done that for me. And that's really helped. That's the only way I learn in business. And so being able to get my name out there, build backlinks, it's really important. I don't know, no one knows what that is, but a backlink to your site from an authoritative source builds your DA. Your DA helps you in Google. Like there's all these things that you're like, oh, okay, I should do more. And a cyclical motion of how we keep improving. Yeah, but I don't want to get lost in like, you fail a lot. We keep improving you have to fail. I guess fail is probably pretty strong. I would say maybe pivot the course is better. At the end of the day, the way that I looked at leaving my corporate job was you can always get another job. If this does not work out, you can always get another job. I had 3 years of numbers and data to say, okay, it's trending in the right direction. Let's see how this goes. And that's the way that I looked at it. Again, going back to my thing about social or just things that I like, I always come back to like, why did I not teach myself this sooner? I wish I would have known.
I feel like everyone always thinks that.
Correct. So
You're not alone.
then I try to apply that mindset to what I do now, and it's been more helpful. It's like, what a concept. Yeah.
Awesome.
That
Do
was
you
long
want to speak on any of your pitfalls or challenges, or maybe times?
So I would say probably the biggest things have just been coming from things that I don't know. Like, I did not get a business degree. My mom, we love her. She is a tax accountant, and so she does my taxes every year, every quarter actually.
God bless her.
Yeah, right. Also, I always tell people that if you're going into accounting and you want to make bank quick, influencers have zero idea how to do their taxes. Most of them don't even. Like, it's wild to me. So that has been a learning curve, especially like every quarter your mom does your taxes and she's like, ooh, you should save more money. I'm like, ooh, cost money, make money, mom. Like, it's like the internal debate.
But mom.
Yeah, we're just over that. It's so much better. So that's been a learning curve. I also think if you don't like doing something, get help or pay someone to do it. I was not afraid to do that right off the get-go. I loathe writing my posts. Like, that's the one thing I don't do. I can everything else, all of the process, but the actual putting the structure, like the post together to perform well on Google, not my favorite thing. So I have a angel of a virtual assistant who helps me and does all of that. And the more that I've learned and like taken on, the more that I'm willing to give her too, because it helps her because she has her own lane to stay in, or she's doing things that are helping me. And then it gives me the peace of mind that I don't have to. It would probably never get done if I did, like, truly, if I didn't outsource it. I don't even know if I'd have a blog because I just do not like it that much.
Very
So
good advice. Ask for help.
It's tough. It's tough to do. I get it. Like, I'm dishing out money that I could keep in my pocket, but that is worth the money to me to outsource. So that's one for sure.
Awesome.
The business behind it.
And then I'm curious, and I'm sure everyone else is curious as well. Some people in the room are students. Some people in the room might be going into a full-time job or an internship this summer. What advice would you have from your experience in both corporate and manning your own business, like for recent college graduates, and what factors should they weigh when doing corporate or...
Okay, well, I really do think that corporate gave me a really good foundation of what business is like. Again, design major, didn't learn any of it. But it gives you the foundation of you need to report to someone, you have a schedule, you're taught what you have to do. And so that's really helpful because when you're your own boss, there's no one that does that. So if you wake up late or you don't submit your numbers, that's on you. Like, that's a really helpful, just the understanding of how a business operates. Also, a 401k match, if your company offers that, that's something that I don't get from a self-employment aspect. So after about a year into my full-time job, I kind of knew that I was going to leave. It just was a matter of time. But my corporate, they had a clause in the contract that said you don't get your 401k match. And at the time, I was pumping money into that, knowing that I was not going to have that at my next venture. And so it was the right thing to do to stick it out till 2 years. So every day from that one year, 1 month for the next 11 months.
You were counting.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Some of my coworkers also were helping me. They were like, 4 more months, you've got this. So to the day. But it was, I looked at that of, okay, if I'm going to take this, I need to make sure that there's enough money in there for maybe what I would put in for the next couple of years. So that was a big blessing of mine. I think that's find out how much money you need to live, put the rest in your 401k just to start it off there. You asked me corporate.
Corporate versus owning your own business,
Yeah,
starting your own thing.
I think also it gives you a really good idea of how to manage people, even though I was not in a managerial position. You find out how to work with people, you find out what you like, what you don't like, and that has played into how I work with my virtual assistants. The expectations that my old bosses had versus the expectations that I have for her. How you treat someone as a human feels right too. So definitely those, and then last part is that full story?
Advice for
Oh.
students who might want to go corporate or might want to have their own business.
I think that totally depends on your situation. Like, I wasn't to the point where I could live off of what I was making. City rent, Atlanta, like maybe if I would have decided to live at home in Metro Detroit and then save money that way, still working corporate. Again, also I had the chip on my shoulder. I wanted to go be an interior designer. And then I kind of learned pretty quickly. I was like, I don't see myself doing this for a while. I love creativity. There were rules. I don't know, there's a lot more flexibility and fluidity with my job now, which I really love.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like I'll definitely take that. I mean, I told them I was coming from a career fair before
Yeah.
this, and they were like, corporate or that. I was like, I don't know. I need to ask you.
Yeah.
I need to know your advice.
I think there's pros and cons to both. I mean, my mother, again, she's been with the same company since she was an intern after school. And so what I did was really like, my dad called me on my first day of APOP. He's like, so like, what do you do? And I'm like, all right, we'll try, because truly a lot of people don't. And you kind of feel kicked down sometimes of like, you're an influencer. I'm like, okay, I actually am a food blogger, but I do have influence in this space. Like, that's kind of how I phrase it. Especially because all of my money comes from, not all, a lot comes from professional food photography. So I'm actually a really good food photographer. And you kind of, I would say in any role, like, you have to fight for yourself. No one's gonna do it for you. You gotta stand up for it. You have to be your own advocate. Sure, there are days where like, oh, I don't like what I have to do, or today's QuickBooks, bookkeeping, whatever. But if you don't know how to do something, find ways to streamline it for yourself. It will make your business better. Like, the less you drag your feet or just have, less ambition about something, the more it's going to weigh on like the overall aspect of the business. So making sure all of your hats are aligned, it will help you in the long run for sure.
And what sort of trends are you seeing in the food blogging industry, and how does that affect what recipes you want to create? Because I anticipate probably sometimes you're food blog.
Yeah, seasonality plays a lot into it. Like, I love summer produce. Spring doesn't have a ton of produce, so that plays in a lot. A couple of years ago, Google and Pinterest did not update as frequently as what they do now. I mean, Google can crawl your site in like 20 seconds, less than that. So food bloggers usually work a quarter ahead. So like, there's sometimes where in July I'm making Christmas cookies. I know that might upset some people. It
All
just
the
kind of
stores do it.
Yeah.
Why is there Halloween stuff?
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. I will say it is tough sometimes when I need fresh cranberries. You can't find them until a week before Thanksgiving. So last year I froze cranberries. Like, there's things for your job that you're like, candy canes. Amazon jacks up the price on candy canes like throughout the year, but during the holidays. So I paid like $25 for like a mini box of candy canes because I couldn't find them anywhere, and I needed peppermint for like a cookie. So there's things like that. Trends-wise, I mean, seasonality plays into how I make recipes, but search engine optimization, I do not want to make a recipe if I can't get to the top. So again, going back to Thanksgiving turkey, not going to happen. I need more long tail keywords. My site is still really new. Like, if you think about me going against Food Network or All Recipes, the basic things when you get the Google search, that plays a lot into it. So I'm using different SEO tools that look at if there's a high volume search and a low domain authority, I can kind of attack that and try to rank for it. And then from there, you need to monitor the post, because with every Google update, your post can drop. It can be helpful. It's not usually helpful, because Google's always trying to make the best results curated to what you guys, like what you want. It's not going to be Also, you're wearing Truly Hard Seltzer? Okay, love that. Oh, wow, we should talk after. Networking, ladies and gentlemen. So that's about that.
And then, do you have like a favorite recipe that you've made, or what's the one that's done the best?
Oh, this past month, my Big Mac casserole was doing really well. And it's seasonality. Sometimes they go viral on Pinterest. Sometimes they go viral on Facebook. I have white tea shots that do really well. Not a green tea, a white tea.
The Truly got you going.
Yeah, no.
You're like, speaking of.
But also it's, kind of frustrating is that cocktails do not perform well they have a lower RPM because it's alcohol. If you use aggressive words with food, like these are like death by chocolate brownies, like your ad companies aren't gonna put the spend behind it because that is not that's not what they want. Like they need positive, just well manicured posts, and it's really interesting that just cocktails don't have as high of a RPM as regular food.
I feel like they would.
Yeah, yeah. Also, it's sometimes frustrating when you have a cocktail or something that, sorry guys, one sec. When you have something that goes viral, I had cookies that went viral. They had a $2 RPM. Do you know how?
Explain what that means.
Yeah. So like going back to that before,
I don't know.
if I had like 2 million people that came to that, 2 million times $2. But if it was 100 RPM times 2 million, I would make a lot more money.
For cookies.
Yes.
Wow.
2 million in terms of users, not
Okay.
yeah. So it's the number multiplied times the RPM. That's the dollar that I take home, or the fraction of whatever that looks like. Yes.
That's incredible. You have learned so much in the time between randomly starting a food Instagram page. I feel like we've all been there with our little Instagram pages.
In any
and
capacity.
blowing
It could be about cars, it could be like about football, anything. I feel like everyone has a hobby. I also I encourage my friends to get after it in terms of like affiliate marketing. Like you would be, again, people love access and they love sharing and absorbing recommendations. And if you can figure out a way to use that to your advantage and your business advantage, it helps out a lot.
And what would you say your strategies are for affiliate linking and passive income for anyone who is kind of dabbling with?
There's a lot of different platforms. Like to Know It is the main one. Thirsty Affiliates, Amazon Storefront, URL Genius. I think that one just came out. There's so many of them in the sense of they're going to vary on who they represent. Like to Know It doesn't represent Aritzia or Zara. And so you have to, if you want to link stuff from there, you need to find something that you can make those pennies off of it. So there's a lot of different resources. I think also, we're such a marketed generation, and that's probably how you do a lot of your shopping. And if someone's like, oh, where'd you get those boots? You're like, oh, I can send you the link.
And they click that link,
They
and
click
it's
that
your
link.
link.
Yep. So Amazon Storefront, I think, is the easiest to start. Now, also knowing that, though, affiliate marketing has rules. Like you cannot put a Amazon link in your newsletter. They will cancel you. I honestly don't know why, because they benefit from it. But it's you learn these things from. Nice. You learn these things from.
Usually that frazzles people.
Oh, really?
They're like,
These people are okay. I lost my train of thought. Good job.
I frazzled you.
But it just, I encourage people to go after it because there is so much, and I am just a number, but I'm a number that has made a community, and I'm really no different than anyone else who has a passion or started something that turned into a job. I think the turning point for me was when companies were like, we'll actually pay you a couple $1,000 for that. I was like, all right, sure.
I can do that.
And, understanding rates and how to make your price based off of what that includes, what that doesn't include. I'm self-employed. I pay self-employment tax. I also have to pay quarterly taxes. All of that goes into how much I charge for something. And that's how I make a living. So, you have affiliate linking, freelance work, sponsored work, blog posts, ad revenue. I've seen people do consulting, your hourly service. Learning a course. I think going back to goals in the next couple of years is just finding ways to like really turn the needle on how to make a lot of passive income, because I think that's pretty cool. It's like I put hours into days, years. How can we make it worthwhile?
And then also lastly, because I'm interested, I'm sure everyone else is interested, how would you recommend marketing yourself, marketing what your personal interest is, whether it's food or, I know we had this Zoom before this and you're like, I'm in my wedding era.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, I also think if you're like not the face of your brand, find a way to market your brand to be that face. Like it doesn't have to be you. If you're like, no, I have this great idea, but like I don't want to be the face of it, that's okay too. Like you need to find what works for your business and what your ideas are. I am in a fun season of life, and so I realized because I was hesitant to TikTok, I don't have as big of a TikTok following. The only time that I have made money off TikTok is when I have had in my contract for a brand on Instagram where it's cross-posted. And so I saw that, I'm like, you know what? I think I could step into the wedding space on TikTok, and so far it's been great in terms of I've landed a deal with a wedding dress shop. Like I've gotten things that I would not have expected to get because people, like brands have so much money and so much money that they want to give, and you are a recipient of that, but also the way I market myself to them is I usually start with my services. And if they say, okay, like we're not interested in that, you have to find a need. If there's no need for the service, there's no relationship there. You need trust in the consumer and also the client. If they, just the contract, things need to be in place to feel good about it. And then the budget, they need to be able to meet your budget. Yeah. People are like, oh, we'll send you like a free thing of protein powder. Like that doesn't pay my taxes. So kind of you. I would love to eat it, but I also need $3,000 on top of that, whatever it is. And I also think the key thing is if as you're growing and as you're marketing, you do have to adjust your your vision for it, because like I didn't go from just making thousands of dollars on one thing. I started at $25 for one post, and I was like, oh, this is great, like so cool. I was in college. I'm like, that's like a free pint at Jonah's, or whatever. And from there, I learned pretty quickly the quality needs to match what, I was taking pictures on iPhone 8, 7, had a home button, I don't know.
We remember.
Yeah, okay, great. And then I got to a point where I'm like, why am I not able to make more than like 700 a post? What is stopping me here? Okay, it's because you don't have high-res production or, professional photos. So then I looked at what, buying a camera, what that would cost, and then learned professional food photography, and that value added to what I could give a client. And now I charge for things for like copyright. Like if you take a brand photo and they're gonna plaster it all over a billboard or a magazine, the photographer gets rights to that. If they wanna buy my copyright, they can pay me 15% of what they're gonna put the ad spend behind it. And some brands are like, nope, ooh, no, we don't wanna pay that, that's fine. Like this is a market that we are all learning about. But I would say in the past couple of years, they've been a lot more receptive to where they were when I started. They're like, we'll give you 10% discount, like we'll send you free product every month. And now it's like, okay, we'll give you the 15% copyright fee. We want to continue your business. And then I think if someone tells you no, I always look at it, it's a no for now. And then I follow up, I say, okay, will you have opportunities Q4? And they say, you might. So then I flip to my planner or my calendar and I say, email so-and-so from so-and-so. And you might be annoying, but then I have also landed a lot where they're like, well, you DM'd us a few times. You reached out. We'd like your services. We can't make this work, but what could you do with X budget instead of your rates? And that's a really good way to keep your value without sacrificing your time. Probably speaking of time, are we close? Yeah. Great.
Yes, so thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I feel like
I hope it was helpful, you guys.
Yeah, and we're opening up the floor to questions, Q&A. session if anyone has any questions for Courtney. I almost said Paige too.
That's okay.
My
I
goodness.
literally did it to myself. Paige is my middle name, and 98% of emails are Courtney Paige, or are, hey Paige, hey Paige. It's
But-
really cute. They're like, we love your stuff. Hey Paige, we love your stuff. I'm like,
Do
clearly, you love it. You do.
With the emergence of AI, I know you touched on it a little bit. Do you find it easier or harder to do your job? Do you have to be more original, or can you rely on that and it can kind of do
So-
half your job for you?
I actually did a podcast on that recently of how to use AI for food bloggers. Again, going back to dragging your feet. My fiance is actually in the AI space a little bit, and so I remember him coming into my office and he was like, "Look, this can show you how to make muffins. You're not needed." I was like, "Whoa, where's my job? Is still here. Like, come on, man." And so I think it's the how I use it to make my job easier. So I use it for Google meta descriptions, Pinterest. Every blog post has a serving suggestion. Hey, what goes well with this? ChatGPT. Most brand sponsored stuff, I like put in the contract. I'm like, anything I'm getting screwed on here, like I use it as a really useful tool. Voiceovers for videos. I make a lot of recipes. I can only say yummy and delicious so many times. I'm like, ChatGPT, what are we going to talk about? Those are the ways that I definitely utilize it. I haven't tried it for like actually creating a recipe. Maybe I will. Maybe it'll be like a dinner night. Hey, this is from ChatGPT. This is me. Which one's different? Like that would be a good test. But I've leaned into it. Like I am trying to. It makes my life easier. Like especially brainstorming fall flavors. What goes well with this? What type of muffin recipes could I create from 4 ingredients? So I think that it's really helpful. And I think there's a lot of hesitation in my space. When you think of a blogger, you mostly think of like a 30 to 60-year-old woman. And so people who have been in the space for about 20 years are a lot more hesitant than 26-year-old me. I'm like, make my job easier. Let's do it. More passive income. What can I spend my time on elsewhere? That a good answer? Yeah, you're welcome. But I think in any aspect, like it's helpful to an extent, how to use it the right way. Yeah.
That's good advice. It's a good question.
Yeah.
I think we're all using
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah, for school too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just in the right ways.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have any tips for growing an Instagram, like specifically Instagram?
Oh my God, girl, that's $1 million question. It's tough. It's tough in the sense of like there's things that I make that I'm like, this is gonna perform really well. And the things that take me 2 seconds are the things that like go viral and you're like, oh. I think creating really high quality content and being consistent with it. Instagram has changed a lot in the past couple of years. It's a lot harder, but that doesn't stop people from growing. Like there's people that grow all the time. I think it's really helpful to cross promote. So like if you're on Instagram, also be on TikTok. If you have whatever you're promoting, do you need an Amazon storefront? Do you need to use Pinterest? Because again, the more ways people can find you or you build that inner web of what's happening on the back end of your stuff, the easier it is to build. And one might go better than the other, but you use whatever is going well to your advantage. I wish I had tangible things. I mean, I would be up here growing like no problem, right?
I have another little mini question. Do you ever use like the paid Instagram ads, and do you find those helpful?
Oh, do you mean do I pay to
Yeah, like
promote my stuff?
Instagram, yeah.
I have never done that. I do have brands that promote my stuff, like they put ad spend behind it. For the most part, for small creators, I have not heard that it's super helpful. I think, this is a kind of a pivot, but Lemonade, the newer app, when there's a new app, there's a lot of spend from that app that wants creators to join their platform. And so for TikTok, it had it, Pinterest had it when they came out with idea pins. Finding a way to maybe get paid small amount of money, but from those apps to promote your stuff would be the way that I would try to go about it. Harder to find that, but I mean, I remember for Pinterest idea pins, there was someone on TikTok that was like spelling it out, like Google Forms open, go look it up. So like, I think also TikTok is used I use TikTok like Google. Like the search engine is awesome. You go to Instagram and you try to type in like black boots, you don't get anything related to it. TikTok, you'll get whatever you want from it. So I wish I had a better answer.
No, that was good. Thank
Okay,
you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have an Amazon partner, so I have an Amazon storefront. I'm an Amazon partner currently, and I have an Amazon storefront, but I'm really like stuck on how to promote things that I purchase off Amazon without coming off too salesy and like inauthentic.
Yes, I think two parts. Like the more that you promote it, the more your audience sees that it's a trusted thing. That's harder to do when you're buying, like if you're buying a lot and then sharing it once and then buying another thing to share new things. I find the products that actually I've just shared, like my teeth whitening strips, my curling iron, like things that I use daily that I'm able to just quickly link is I see a lot more return on value there than just like one sweater or something. Ways to promote it. I mean, I have it like Linktree in your social platforms, different. The newsletter isn't awesome. Mainly it comes from my Instagram stories, or I do a roundup on Like to Know It every month of like, these were the 5 best sellers from the month. And then I also put that collage, but not the links, in my newsletter, so then it drives people to my Like to Know It. You can do that with just the storefront link. So that would be kind of a fun way to cross-promote. Now, a newsletter is a lot of work. It might not fit your audience. But those are the main ways that I see people sharing their links to get some good return on investment there. Yeah. Social's like the wild, wild west. I wish I could be a guru on it, but it's kind of trial and error. Yeah. One back there. Or just hair.
I have a question of how do you like manage to keep integrity like within your brand?
Yeah.
Like if a brand comes to you and like wants you to promote their product, but you're like, I really don't like this product, but like I want the money.
Oh.
Like how do you go about that?
I will say I feel like most brands that I don't feel like I'll jive with off the get-go, they're like, we'll pay you $50. I'm like, you make it so easy to say no. I feel like you build, your audience kind of sees what you like, what you don't like. For the most part, I will just respond and be like, the ones that get me, we have a really good like something diet or like something health related. I'm like, you have no idea like what my background is just by you sending this email. So that's pretty easy for me to just be like, hey, like, if you, I try to say it in a more, that's when I use ChatGPT. I'll say, hey, use this in a more professional way. Tell them I don't want this. Or like, tell it like, this is not my vibe. Or say this in a professional manner. And I usually just say like, that doesn't really align with my brand. I really like appreciate you reaching out, but no, thank you. Brands almost never email me and say, hey, we want to pay you $3,000 if you promote this post. It's always like, we have a product. Like they're trying to pitch you to bite, and then they say, okay, what do you charge for this? And then I give them the rate, and they're like, ooh, that's not actually in the budget. Usually I try to say, after that second email, I say, this is my rate for the deliverables. And if they come back and say, like I just gave one the other day, it was $4,625. That's the rate that I like came up with for the deliverables they were asking. And they're like, ooh, our max budget is $1,200. And it was a bacon company. Like I love bacon, I'll eat bacon. And I said, for the $1,200, I could do an Instagram story series. Like I can't give you everything what you want, but for that rate, I could do a series, like talk about it. And they're like, actually, we're looking for all of them. I'm like, okay, so sorry, or not sorry. I'm like, thank you so much for considering me. Hopefully we can work together next time. And for the most part, they're like, we represent other things we think you'd be a good fit for. Like we'll keep you in touch. And then I have probably like 50 contacts now that I've had my email for a while. That Q1, Q2 is a little slower, so I will go back and remember and be like, hey, they emailed me. Like they're an ad agency. I wonder if they're offering that same thing in Q1 or that was just a Q4 thing. But going to the integrity, it's pretty easy because they don't lead with the price. It's easy for me to be like, bye, swipe, next. On the flip side, if I feel like I don't have enough business coming in, it's on me to reach out. That's when I'm in brands DMs. I'm like, hey, like I will tag them a lot if I'm using them in the reel and it's not sponsored. And I've had people be like, hey, like we would love to use this reel. I'm like, great, send me an email with your rates that you want to pay for this. And yeah, well, like you're not getting that for free, and mean that in a really, it's they want free work, and at the end of the day, you're your own best advocate. So, yeah, that help? Yeah. Don't lose sight of what you mean.
Yeah. As a final question,
Yeah.
how do you deal with imposter syndrome?
Oh. Usually I just take a break from social. Like if I'm like, this is a lot for me today, I will take a break. My first day of my job, my APOP full time, I wrote myself a note in my note letter of just like, you're doing the thing. This is like what you've worked for, yada, yada. Which I actually want to post on TikTok because I think it would go viral. You know, like there's like little things that you're like, oh, this could work. It might flunk, but like I don't care. I'm like trying. So sometimes I read that, or because my goal has been so much work on the back end and not social, it feels a lot easier and like less consuming to do my job because it's not on my phone or my app. And that was huge for me because that screen time sometimes is so high. You're like, ooh, knock it down. Next time, like I would start to hit limits. I'm like, let's go back, let's readjust. We're gonna move it. Now my social for every day is an hour, and like, I know, like I gotta get 3 posts on 3 different platforms. Okay, then I have 20 minutes to scroll at lunch, 20 minutes to scroll at dinner, whatever. So I try to do it that way. Pivot. If it's not serving you, take it off your plate. It's not gonna work. I think we had one other one really quick. Yeah.
Real quick.
In the Air sweatshirt.
Hey.
Hi.
I'm not completely sure how to word this, but
ChatGPT.
so like starting at the age of 12, I read a lot, I wrote a lot, and I had a blog for maybe like 6 years. Like,
Cool.
Loved it. But once it became like a task, like once you get to high school, you know, you're assigned reading, and like suddenly you have to write all this stuff, and it's not as fun anymore, you know?
When your passion becomes your job, I can't relate. No, weird.
Obviously, you love what you do, but how do you deal with, like, not having something you love become like a task or a burden?
Oh, I found other things to love that I'm not making a job. No way. That's really simply put, but when you put so much of your time into something for so long, one, it's your passion, you love it. There's days where you're like, am I ever gonna make it? And then you do, and you're like, I have free time. What? Weird. So you pick up other things that you really enjoy. And I have no intention of reading is something I enjoy. I didn't read a book for about 4 years because I was all in on one thing. Like live, breathe, corporate, APOP, raising a dog in there somewhere, and then back. And so now I read, I spend time with friends. It's like I think you just kind of realize what's important in your life really quickly. I had some family stuff that made me realize that, and it was like any job at the end of the day is a job. It is a job. It does not like define you. Easier to that's harder to say when I am my brand. But I hope that my brand serves people way longer than what I could ever do personally. And I think the disassociation with that is really helpful.
I also don't know what your personality type is.
Oh.
But how do you function, like, as a self-employed person? Like, do you kind of find yourself?
I would say I'm pretty hardworking. That's actually one of my fiance's favorite things about me. And I'm like, that's like the worst. Like, I feel like pick a better quality. Like, I want to be, I don't know, more hardworking, dedicated, but also really flexible. I was very type A in high school, and now I'd say I'm kind of type B. And go with the flow, being able to pivot and just loving, like, being able to give it your all without leaving the job at the end of the day and be like, wow, I don't have anything more to give. And that's a hard balance to find, and it took me a couple years to find it. But now that I do, now I'm like, give me more of this fun stuff. Like, let's work less.
I don't want to interrupt, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. But
no
Courtney
idea what
will be here after as well if you want to individually come up with her and ask her questions or anything.
I hope it was helpful. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it, and go green always.
Thank you guys.